Hello, everyone. I'm Diraj Goel, the founder of Get Fresh Ventures. At Get Fresh Ventures, we partner with early and growth stage founders to architect the systems that drive real scale and growth, from go-to-market design to operational strategy to preparing for an exit. This is the Founder Spotlight series. We cut through all the noise and the hype and actually get to what it means to be a founder and drive sustainable scale. And founders are not always in offices or in VC meetings in boardrooms. Some of them are traveling the world. It's good to hear from founders of all different sizes and shapes. And today we have Joe Parenteau, co-founder and CEO of Fable, one of the most thoughtful brands in the modern home space. In fact, my whole cabinet is full of his dishes and glasses. I think it's a common problem that we all have in terms of finding accessible, modern, thoughtful pieces that we can trust, and glasses that just don't break all the time. It's one of my favorite products, actually. But what I like to hear from Joe is, as he's gone down this path and he's expanding into new products, I'm hoping we can cover what Fable is up to today and his journey so far. Over to you, Joe. Tell us about your story and your journey.
Yeah, 100%. Appreciate you having me on. For us, we're Fable. We're a home decor company that was really started out of the essence of a problem we were facing. Ultimately, we feel like IKEA has done such a great job at conditioning everyone to make this home decor shopping experience or entry home decor shopping experience very easy, effortless. And we think there's a few core things that they did really well. And one of them being that they design all these products that you can mix and match effortlessly and end up with a Scandinavian looking house. And you truly don't need to be an interior designer to shop at IKEA. But what we found when we were doing home decor shopping in more of like a premium sense is that it's nothing like shopping at IKEA. Nothing is meant to be mixed and matched perfectly. And you can end up with if you're not an interior designer, end up with a house that could look a bit discombobulated and maybe not as seamless as you'd want it. So when we started the brand, it was really under that to build a full home decor brand of products that can be mixed and matched perfectly, all designed to fit together, but all built in a way that is ethically and sustainably made. Since similar with like our glassware, we started focusing on product value props where products that will last you a lot longer and things like that, the ion toughened glassware where it enhances the durability. What we learned is that it's not necessarily a novel or new technology. It's just that when we talk to glassware manufacturers, they say, well, we're in the business of people breaking glasses. Like that's what's driving their repeat revenue. But we're in the business of sustainability and sustainable home decor. So for us, it was a no-brainer to do that type of tempering. But from other providers, they kind of want you to have that thin glass that breaks over time so you come back and continue to shop with them. So that's how we think about
So when
product and what we're developing into.
And when you launched, it was dishes and glasses predominantly. Maybe explain the evolution of the product lines over the years. You started how long ago now? It's 7 years ago.
Yes, we started in 2019 of November. So we're pretty much like coming up on the 6 year marker. And we actually
Hmm.
started with just dinnerware and flatware. So we didn't even have the glassware line developed at that time. We really were like hyper focused on finding and building a ceramic line that kind of fit our aesthetic, fit our ethos in terms of like sustainability and how the product is made, and finding out the right color palette that we could build that tablescape around. When you go like set your table, typically the core pieces is that dinnerware plate in particular, and then we started building the product line around that, and then it's expanded into that glassware, stemware, serving pieces, and then now even off the table into the living room.
Most people actually don't know when I talk about the Fable dishes that I have at home that it's a Canadian company and it's actually
Yeah,
local here in Vancouver. Even though you're in Greece and traveling right
yeah.
now with your young family, tell me about how it started and what's your customer base look like? I imagine it's global or at least North American. But what did that growth look like over the years?
Yeah, so we started it in Vancouver. The three co-founders, Max, Tina, and myself, we'd all kind of known each other from the tech space. We all worked at a big tech company in Vancouver, more or less. And we decided like, hey, let's go build a physical product, which was really hard considering we didn't come from that background. And because we were Vancouver focused, a lot of our first sales came from Vancouver. Of course, like friends and family, people willing to take the risk. We did things like there's like a showdown in North Vancouver called Fall for Local, where we would attend
Mm.
in like at like craft show style events. We would show up and pitch our product to people meandering and walking around with a coffee. We'd pop up at cafes, you name it, anywhere we could go to try and sell the product, we were there. But it taught us a ton on how we do product positioning. And we've got a lot of firsthand experience when I'm, selling a plate to you in person, what actually resonates with the consumer. And a lot of those learnings we were able to capture and move forward into paid media and across all the channels that we advertise on today.
It's actually a fundamental challenge most founders that I speak to have, in that it's very hard for them to pinpoint the living, breathing person who will exchange money that they can have a conversation with.
Mhm.
The With the advent of technology and AI and the desire to just automate everything, a lot of founders end up trying to build a customer base completely digitally. But I'm of the mindset that you have to go into a melee hand to hand conversation and get that insight from customers and understand the positioning before you actually translate that into a scalable model.
Yeah, 100%.
And how did you see that as the customer base grew? I mean, those one-on-one conversations obviously helped in the early days, but how has that changed over time as the brand's grown? And also, have you been mostly selling it online, or is it in store as well?
Yeah, so we sell it in a few different channels as we've grown. It's pretty much like 80% online, 10% in our owned retail. So we have a store in Vancouver and we have a store in Toronto, and then 10% B2B, which is like pretty much a catch-all bucket for a variety of sales channels, ranging from selling in restaurants, caterers, boutique hotels, all the way through selling with like Nordstrom, Macy's, Bloomingdale's. So we sell it in a lot of different places in a lot of different ways and try to meet the customer where they are. But in terms of getting a hold of customers and talking to them at its core, that's something we've not let go of. I'd say we're talking to maybe 5 customers a week I would talk to on the phone. That
Oh,
ranges
you
from
would actually call them?
all the
Okay,
time. Yeah, yeah,
go
yeah.
ahead.
Like, yeah, all the time. So if a customer, I'll give you an example yesterday. When we think of the Fable product, we think of everything. That not just like the plate. We think of the customer experience, how they interact in the retail store, how the
Mhm.
shipping experience was. All of that is what we'd consider the Fable product. And
I think
fundamentally, go ahead, sorry.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I wanted to point out something that's usually forgotten, but Apple does a good job and you do an amazing job of it, is actually the packaging itself. It's so thoughtful for every single unit and product. It's packaged so well and designed so well that it's such an experience to take it out of the box.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. The packaging takes us as long to develop as the physical product, especially in breakable items. Like it can't be an afterthought. It is when we start designing new wine glass, the packaging design has to happen simultaneously, or else the product development process will take twice as long. It is a mission to get packaging out the door. It is not an easy feat for sure.
So even though you've scaled so much, you're still very close. You were telling me the story about having the conversation with that customer.
Yeah. So as an example, yesterday we had a customer come into our Toronto store and we were like, "Oh, we're going to ship all this out, get all this product to you, no problem." And he was, upset because it was coming in 5 different packages. So in those instances, and where there's any of these like weird edge cases, I'll jump on a call with the customer. I chatted with him for an hour yesterday. Great conversation,
Wow.
and we got into like all the issues that he had with Fable or the shipping process, and we were able to I was able to hear all that feedback live one on one. And then now we're able to action it today going forward. And that ranges, these types of conversations range from customer support components where the founders will jump on the calls with the customers to try and not only get to a good resolution, but to try and understand the root problem that our customers are facing in the shopping experience, but all the way through product research. So my co-founder Max leads all of product at Fable, and he'll be on the call with customers like multiple times a day, talking about new pieces that we're developing into and trying to understand at its core, if we're making a new rug, what is it exactly you would be wanting to look for? And like, how valuable is it for you to wash your rug versus the rug just staying clean? And even those like smaller components that we get really deep into on the development side. So talking to customers
For
is the core of advancing our business forward.
And I appreciate that. And I think businesses that are built with the customer at the center are the ones that thrive, even in down markets, because they have such a deep connection with the customer. But for context for other founders, as companies scale, the perspective is that you get further and further away from that deeper customer conversation. How big is your team now? How do you justify to yourself that you're the one having the conversation versus your head of customer support or someone in your team? Do you have a large team? Do you guys run a lean team?
Yeah, I'd say we have like one person in each seat at Fable, is how I could best describe it. We're about a 40-person organization, so not big, I wouldn't say, but certainly
Hmm.
not small. When we were three people, I would have dreamed of having 40 people on my side helping build the company. So I think we're very fortunate. We have like 40 talented people all helping move the ship forward. But what I've found is that ultimately people are still looking to the founders for direction on what we should be focused on as an organization. And for us, talking to the customers is one of the best ways to make sure we're not losing those rich insights and we're able to like prioritize them ruthlessly every single quarter.
So you mentioned rugs, because that's the new product
Yeah.
line. Is it launched yet, or are you still in development?
We're both. So we've launched, and I'd say we're still in the development process. So we decided that we were going to do a bit of a crawl, walk, run approach with our rug collection. Launched the products out in a very small way. So we launched three sizes, two colors, one weave. So a very, very tight collection. And if you compare that to other rug players online like Ruggable, we have no products compared to what they're able to offer. So for us,
Yeah.
we were looking to capture those insights from customers, and we were able to take all these learnings and then double down on our new rug collection. So our newest rug collection, or wave two of rugs, is planned to come out in January, February next year. And because of all those learnings, we were able to like make a major revisement to the product line, or even to the shopping experience throughout.
So I'm a consumer of Fable. I'm a customer, um, and I've also shopped at Ruggable. How are you building that differentiation in a market, especially with the connection you have with customers and the feedback that you're getting? How are you seeing that wedge that says, "Hey, rugs is where we need to go"?
Well, what we learned, like at its base level, when we're thinking about like new products we want to go develop into, we're asking our customers, what else are you buying when you're buying dinnerware? And as it turns out, a
Mm,
lot of our customers buy dinnerware when they move or they recently renovated their house. And if I had to guess, that may be why you bought new dinnerware. It is really that life moment that people want to transition and kind of reset and refresh their space. And rugs routinely came up as a product that they were also refreshing their space with at that time. And that's why we became very interested in rugs. In the same way, we're very interested in lighting, wall art, planters, bedding, bathroom. These different areas come up on repeat with our consumer. What we found though is that our consumer, they loved the idea, and they do love the idea of being able to keep their rug clean and have it be washable. Something you can just throw in the washer at home and it's
yeah.
taken care of effortlessly. But they wanted something that is a bit more luxury, a bit more thick, more plush, like a wool cotton material that felt not as thin as like a Ruggable feels. So for us, we built an upmarket product from there and started working with
Okay.
a team in terms of like a hand weave that was still very tight, so it doesn't have so much pull from the pieces from the product, but something you could still throw in the washer at home. So that finding that balance of something that's thick but still light enough to go in your home washer was really the challenge we had to go find.
Well, I'll definitely check it out because I've used Ruggable and I didn't really like the fact that it was paper thin, basically.
Exactly.
Sounds like you've got a healthy product roadmap ahead then, because it's within that same scope of life moments, share of wallet, those products that you can introduce. Scale seems like it's still within reach. There, you've got a lot to grow into. How are you navigating growth into the next era of the company?
Yeah, good question. I mean, growth comes in different types of waves. And when we were in the pandemic, it was a completely different experience than what we're seeing right now.
Yeah.
The pandemic brought this incredibly huge tailwind that Fable, like frankly speaking, was very unprepared for. We had no idea how much demand was going to happen. And now we're in a completely different ecosystem. And it's changed like dramatically. We are seeing growth more steady, where it's not as like booming as the pandemic was, where it came in like massive waves, pending an announcement of can you leave your house or not. And now it's been much more like consistent growth, which has been like a lot easier to manage and to build into. So for us, our theory on growth and like the way that we're doing it is through a lot of different, like through three core areas. One is from geography expansion. So how do we push more into the United States? So right now we're only seeing about 60% of our consumers in the United States, which is crazy. Like we have great reach in Canada, but we need to go build similar brand
Mhm.
awareness in the United States market. Second is through product line expansion. So how do we capture more wallet share when you're redoing your entire house? How is Fable products finding their way into multiple spaces? And we're increasing that average order value. And then part three is the focus on channel expansion. So e-commerce is still driving majority of our revenue, but our retail stores are also operating at like with great EBITDA numbers, and our turnaround on like payoff on the build out of the retail stores is also very fast. So it's starting to bring into the question of like when do we start expanding our retail footprint across Canada and the United States?
There was a period in the evolution of e-commerce where the assumption was that all brick and mortar stores were going to be closed and everyone was going to shop online. And the pandemic actually made people feel like that was the future reality. And it's in a about turn where these physical stores are actually ending up being great beachheads in brand awareness, actually being profitable in their own right, distribution points. Are you starting to see that evolution of Fable becoming a store, a retail store conglomerate as much as an e-commerce store?
Yeah, I'd say conglomerate might be a bit strong, but generally speaking, yes, I think the future for Fable will hold 10 to 20 locations in core cities, but we will likely won't have a store in every single city across, North America, and probably not in the smaller locations. At least that's our thinking on that right now.
I come from a technology and infrastructure and scale background. So what I do is work with founders as they scale to, from 0 to 1, 1 to 5, 5 to 10, and so on, all the way up to about 150 right out to exit. A large part of that is enablement systems, infrastructure, and especially with AI, there's a lot of things happening in the space. How is that changing your landscape, especially with the advent of technologies that are coming out, whether that's in social marketing, video, content creation, channel acceleration? Is your team leveraging that? Do you have expertise internal that you're using? How are you seeing that next future?
Our team is so broad. We have people on our team, of course, doing creative through fulfillment, which is such a wide spectrum of types of roles internally. And AI has taken every industry by storm, and everyone's talking about it. Everyone's trying to utilize it. But the way that we've been best able to harness it internally is through like individual efficiency. So, of course, like an obvious one would be our copywriter utilizing AI to support her in like baseline, like product copy and helping write that a lot quicker. But we are using it a ton in the creative space, whether that be from video editing all the way through even content creation. But that we are also trying to find that balance, especially when you look on the creative side, where AI looking to be real is different than AI looking to look like AI. So if you look through some
Mhm.
of our Instagram posts, you could tell it's AI because we made it look like it's intentionally AI. And I think that's where the balance is. And I think that's a lot of the conversation in the creative space is that. But, as we look across the entire spectrum of the team, using tools like Whisper, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with, it's like a voice to text tool, is like increased my efficiency dramatically. I live in my email inbox, and I think I can answer emails like 80% faster previously because I can just talk into my computer and it perfectly formats everything. So, yeah, across the entire organization, we're using so many different AI tools, which is hopefully helping us maintain a much leaner organization as we scale.
So that's actually a big question for me. The hopefully much leaner. So the assumption with AI is that it gives you acceleration, it compresses time, it gets you more efficient. There's a natural ROI that comes out of it. Are you
Mhm.
starting to see that? And maybe it's the ROI in terms of getting to market faster, or the ROI in having to be able to do more without having and reducing your labor costs, revenue per employee, margin per employee. Is it
Yeah.
translating into any of those type of outcomes? Or are you noticing it on the balance sheet?
Revenue per employee. Absolutely. Yeah. We've seen a significant uptick this year, and I think it's only going to accelerate. For example, like if we were doing product research, we would go through let's say we do product research on rugs. We would go look at every rug company, all of their reviews, and start reading every single review, trying to find trends on what customers love and don't love about that person's rug. But now we just have a AI, like a chat GTP bot that goes and scrapes all of those websites and tells us the themes that's happening. So that's saving days of time. And we certainly are seeing it in levels of efficiency and what we're able to output as a team.
That's brilliant. Is there a piece of advice that you would give just to finish it off? And thank you for sharing your story.
Of course.
But I always ask this of founders who've gone through a few years of scars, and you're 6 years in. And I don't want to say one piece of advice, but more so, what's the learning that you have taken with you that's paid off continuously in your ability to reuse that learning year over year?
Yeah. It's a good question. I think it depends on the founder and the stage they're in. For people who are just getting started, I think the hardest part is just getting started. And my recommendation is always, you don't need a perfect idea. You just need to start and execute really well. And I think that that's something we've always carried forward when we're looking at facing new problems. Every day I take on challenges. I'm like, I have no idea how to do this. And I probably have no business doing it. And I should be having other people do it who know more than I. But the idea that just executing and learning and doing the task is going to move me forward. And I think when I was first starting out in the company, we spent so much time just ideating. It has to be the perfect idea. But as I learned, it's like, that's not actually the most important part. The most important part's the execution and sticking with it. And that was what got us to where we are today.
Well, congratulations. I'm looking forward to all the new products that you're going to come up with. I'm intrinsically lazy. I prefer to actually shop online. And what Fable's given me is an innate trust in the product, the quality, and also the selection. I don't really have to think about whether I'm picking a beautiful product. I just buy it.
Cool.
So I'm glad for the work that you do.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us.